It wasn't easy. Earning a spot alongside Task 141. You were an SAS, CIA, or even officially on record in most countries. You were a ghost, in your own way, picked up after a messy mission, standing in a squad of 12. Somehow your survival was impressive enough to catch the attention of Laswell. The rest, as they say, was classified. They didn't exactly roll out the red carpet when you first assigned to the unit. Who the hell's this? Ghost had asked flatly. Mask tilted slightly to size you up. New blood, Price replied, voice low and calm. Proved himself, Slatchwell said. That didn't mean they liked you. Not right away, at least. It took weeks, maybe even months, for the frost to thaw. Ghost ignored you. Gaz was polite, but kept you at arm's length, and Soap treated you like a replacement intern who would probably die in a week. But you didn't die. You patched Soap up when Sharpen tore through his sky in a raid on the cartel warehouse. You saved Gaz from a sniper by tackling him just before the shot rang out. And you brought Ghost coffee. Once. Black, no sugar, just how he liked it. He never said thank you, but next time you were injured, he stayed by your bedside in complete silence until you woke up. It was slow and subtle. Not the kind of thing you'd ever see in a movie, but somewhere along the line, you became part of the team, even if you weren't quite like them. You know, Soap said one evening, while the team was hunkered down in the safe house in Poland. You've got the weirdest habits I've ever seen in the field. You looked up from your book, an old dog-eared copy of The Left Hand of Darkness, and raised eyebrow. Is reading a weird habit now? You asked, confused. No, not that, he said, waving a dismissive hand. You know, like the tea, the notebook, the way you hum all the time. You're like a civilian wearing tactical gear. I was a civilian, you remind him. Weren't we all? Price muttered, in the corner lighting his cigar. Soap grinned. Yeah, but, you still act like one. It's weird, but it's kind of refreshing, I guess. Ghost leaned against a wall nearby, arms crossed. Just don't get yourself killed by humming your way through the minefield. I only hum when I'm safe, you replied with a smirk. Over time, those little conversations turned into longer ones. You started helping Gaz cook when he was too tired to do it all alone. You kept little things in your bag, like bandages and mints and protein bars, and somehow you became part of the team's unofficial meal pack. You didn't mind. They never said it, but you could tell they appreciated it. One night after a grueling recon mission in the freezing mountains of Georgia, the four of you had returned to the cramped shelter. Everyone was exhausted, too tired to even eat, collapsing into whatever surface was the softest. I can't feel my everything, Gaz mumbled into his coat. You dropped your pack and immediately started pulling heat packs and blankets. Come on, up, you'll all freeze. Soap groaned. Ugh, you're too chipper for someone who just hiked 14 hours. I'm not chipper. I'm just used to being the only one who has to keep things moving. Handed Ghost a heated blanket, not expecting a response, but he nodded once, almost as a thank you. Later that night, you sat awake in the dark, watching the stars through the crack in the ceiling. Ghost's voice cut through the silence. You ever miss it? You turned your head. He was sitting nearby, mask off, though it was too dark to really see his face. Miss what? You asked. Normalcy. Silly life. He shrugged. Sometimes I miss stupid things, like music playing through a crappy car radio or hot food or friends who don't carry rifles. He was quiet for a while. You still got that little notebook? You blinked. Yeah? Why? What are you writing in it? He asked. He smiled faintly. Mostly quotes, bits of dreams I don't want to forget, things over here, memories. Like a diary, yes, you chuckle. I guess, but it's not a very emotional one. It's more like a scrapbook in words. He nodded again, barely visible in the dark. Keep it close, he said. You nodded. I always do. Over time, Gaz just started talking more. Soap started teasing you like a sibling instead of an outsider, and Gaz began calling you when he couldn't sleep. Price would pass you the thermos without a word. During the stakeouts, you started to carry an extra cigar in your pack just in case he ran out. One evening, months later, Soap nudged you while you were packing up your vest. You know you're one of us now, right? You blinked. What do you mean? You always talk like we're some elite club and you're the odd one out. But you've been stuck in this just as long as we have. You stuck it out. Your family. You paused, finger stilling. Family? You asked. Yeah, Gaz said from behind you. You've got Ghost to your left and Soap to your right and Price watching your six. That's family. You looked over at Ghost who gave you a faint nod. Doesn't matter where you came from. You bled with us and that's what matters. Something warm and disgustingly soft spread throughout your chest. You didn't know what to say, so you didn't. You just smiled and got back to work. Later, alone again, you opened your notebook and scribbled a line. Quote, they don't say it often, but they mean it when they do. And that was enough. You always knew it wouldn't last forever, though. The quiet nights, the easy banter, the feeling of safety within the four-person cocoon that had become your second home. Peace was not in your job description, but still, when things went sideways during a supposed low-risk recon, OP in Burlos, it was odd that it caught you off guard. A simple in-and-out mission. Check intel, confirm presence of weapons, exfile. It turned into a full-blown ambush. The four of you were split up in chaos. Gunfire echoed off the snow-covered ruins of the abandoned Soviet base. You had no comms, no visuals in the others, just your rifle and a sidearm, and a steady pulse of adrenaline keeping your mind sharp. You moved through the underbrush, dodging spotlight breaths, forming clouds. In the freezing air, you weren't built for solo runs. You were the support, the glue, the patcher, the extra hands, but there was no time to dwell on it. A burst of gunfire drew your attention, closer than it should have been. Shit! You whispered to yourself, sliding into a position behind an already toppled truck. You scanned through the scope. 4 hostiles, 2 down already. One of them a familiar shape, a familiar movement. It was Soap, but he was being pinned behind debris, outgunned. You didn't realize, and you didn't hesitate. Sliding into position, he fired twice. One shot dropped a man mid-sprint, the other clipped his partner in the leg, giving Soap enough of an opening to pop out and finish his job. He turned, eyes wide. Ryan? He waved. Told you, I hum when I'm safe, and when I'm alone, in the damn woods. He let out a breathless laugh, as you both ducked behind cover. You're bloody insane, you know that. A little bit. Gaz is trying to flake west. Ghosts unaccounted for. Radios fried. You nodded, switching magazines. Shit. Okay, let's move. The next hour was a blur of bullets and blood and the sharp sting of the cold seeping through your gloves. You moved as one, covering for each other without needing words. When Gaz finally reappeared, bruised and limping, you pulled him behind cover without hesitation, hands already reaching for your medkit. He winced as you cleaned the gash from his leg. You're too good at this. Patch jobs are my specialty. Not just saying that, but staying calm and keeping us going. He didn't answer. Instead, you tied the bandage off and helped him up, looping his arm around your shoulder. Let's go find Ghost. You found him in the main structure, bleeding from the graze across his ribs, but still standing, a pile of bodies at his feet. The look he gave you when you kicked the door open was equal parts surprise and relief. Took your time, he scolded. You just looked at him. He looked busy. You helped him sit gently, prodding at the wound. He grabbed your wrist. You okay? He blinked. It wasn't a question you expected from him. Yeah, you? He nodded, just pissed off. Price eventually made contact 2 hours later. He'd been coordinating while you and the others held position. When he arrived, battered and loud, you helped Gaz load up and then clambered behind Ghost and saw. Before you sat in silence during the flight, the whirl of rotors filling the void until soap nudged your knee and you looked up. You good? He asked, cried at this time. Yeah, you answered back. He scoffed. It's what you always say. You nodded, keeping a lookout. Yeah, but I mean it. You didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know if you were going to survive this or if you were going to get shot. But you'd happily be shot as long as they were by your side.